Well, it's a clear victory for Emmanuel Macron. The results are in and he is keeping the keys to the Elysee Palace. That's historic because for the last 20 years, no French president has managed to pull off that feat of being re-elected for a second term. Now, as you said, according to those projected results, Emmanuel Macron securing more than 58% of the vote, so a clear win over his rival and far-right challenger Marine Le Pen, who got around 42% of the vote according to those projections. But that is a much tighter race than in 2017 when the two also faced each other off in a similar runoff. That time round, back in 2017, Emmanuel Macron won in a landslide victory, securing 66% of the vote. So a much tighter race this time round, which of course is why Emmanuel Macron now has a very difficult job ahead of him of uniting a very polarised country. You also mentioned that rate of abstention, a historically high rate of abstention. That also points perhaps to political dissatisfaction, either with both candidates, those who felt that they didn't have a good choice to make between either candidates, or simply those who were dissatisfied with the political system as a whole.
So, Rosie, just as you mentioned, it has been a much tighter race at this time. So tell us a little bit more about mainstream public opinion in France after the final results were announced.
This is a country divided. I was out last night when Emmanuel Macron's supporters were celebrating in the street. They were jubilant. I spoke to many of them who were full of joy at Emmanuel Macron's re-election, but that simply is not representative of the whole country or the whole electorate. There are many voters who felt that they were forced to choose between the lesser of two evils and chose Emmanuel Macron not to support his ideas, but to keep out the far-right candidate Marine Le Pen. And Emmanuel Macron paid tribute to those voters in his victory speech here in Paris last night in the shadow of the Eiffel Tower. He says he knows he has a duty to perform now, having been re-elected on many votes that were not to support him specifically, but rather, as I said, to block out the far-right candidates. And however, Marine Le Pen also, in her concession speech, rather upbeat. She noted that she's increased her vote share so significantly and that is a victory in itself. Of course, for her supporters, more of a disappointment, but perhaps sharing that sentiment that the far right, her party, the Front National, under her leadership has now increased its vote share to the biggest in history so far. So a country very divided and a difficult task for newly elected President Emmanuel Macron to unite this polarised country.